Hello, everybody, and welcome to First Ring Daily. Today's show is brought to you by Microsoft 365. And for those who watch the live portion of this is take two of the electric connectivity. Oh, I got a great story for you. This is what Twitter is good for, right? Do you know what
Okay, of
you know what a Trisket is, right? Like,
course. I
like,
saw I saw this. Yeah, but
yeah. So you know what they discovered there was a mystery of what the TRI and Trisket stood for, and some guy like took it on as a personal mission, and he
mhm.
discovered by digging through like years of literature and advertisement, it's the tri is for electricity. It's great.
What?
Yeah, I'm not even. It's not
How,
tri. Yeah. So the story starts with him emailing, is it Nabisco that makes Triscuits? Whoever makes it,
okay.
and asking what it stood for. I don't know how many edibles he had that evening or how much he had drank, to get on this journey, but he did a great job. And they came back and said we don't actually know what it means. And so this guy like dug into the history and found out that the initial Triscuit was made like in 1903 sometime around there, and it was advertised as the first like electricity baked good. And so the
Oh,
tri in Triscuit stands for is part of the word electricity. There you go.
so it's not like three grains or something, or
Nothing like that. Nope.
that is really weird.
Yeah. This is what boredom has done to us, Paul. People now know what the it's great. It's great. Anyways, back to quasi-relevant things that I'm sure people are talking or tuning in for maybe. So it looks like Apple's going to go kind of all in on the ARM stuff. No, like 0.0% surprise there though.
Well, I don't know. Honestly, like after they announced this iPad thing, I was thinking maybe they don't bother with the Mac, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, I think they're trying to. I bet that they have like little charts that say here's when we pass Intel in like performance per watt or something like that. And
Well, that happened like 10 years ago. But I mean, the the problem for Apple is the same as the problem for Microsoft, that they have this mobile OS that was designed for this kind of architecture,
mhm,
but their desktop OS is not. And so the
yeah,
thing that Apple's not talking about, although I keep referencing this, there's a great set of Avi Tabanian interviews with the Computer History Museum, I think, that are on YouTube. And he talks about that generational shift they made when they went from PowerPC to Intel. And everyone was like, wow, it's amazing that you did this in 1 year.
hmm,
He's like, we didn't do it in 1 year. We were compiling on Intel from day one, ever since we started. And that's clearly what they've been doing for ARM. So when you're right, what you said is right. It may not. It's not literally like
hmm,
however you phrased it, powered by TP, whatever. I
yeah,
can't remember how you said it, but it, they obviously have some metric because they can test what this thing's like, and when the performance, and it's their chip, so of course they can kind of do what Microsoft is trying to do with the
hmm,
HCX, I think it's called, or whatever the Microsoft thing is, um, and make their own custom silicon and adapt the software to run properly in that kind of architecture. So I'm sure what's taking time is a combination of the hardware and the software.
yeah. And I definitely think they'll potentially go with like a split, right? If you think about it from like their entry level stuff, let's just say a MacBook Air. You throw one in there.
Mm-hmm.
The primary things you're doing on a MacBook Air are word processing, maybe email, web browsing, which they can all do relatively easily with the processor they have now. I don't think their
Right.
Mac Pro will go to their ARM architecture anytime soon. I think they'll kind of keep that separated, at least for the time being. But I think their lower end stuff easily could.
Yeah, and if you think back to the Intel shift, if I remember correctly, I think the very first Intel-based Mac was a MacBook,
Hmm.
and that's back when they were the white polycarbonate devices. I think it was a Core Solo processor right before they went
Hmm.
Core Duo, meaning it was probably a single core, I guess. But they did start at the low end, and that makes sense because you're going to be emulating a lot of software. That performance is not going to be great. People who buy a lower end machine would be more accepting of that kind of thing, or would be more used to that kind of problem. So
Well, I do wonder
yeah,
too, is like, would they ever, I don't know how they would do this from a marketing thing, but I'm sure they'd use the terms magical. In other words, just throw what is we know as iPad OS just on a MacBook Air. What would be the problem there? It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
I wonder if Catalyst has been designed in such a way that when you do run an iPad app on Mac OS running on an A series chip, that it runs better. It could run natively.
Hmm.
Maybe that is part of what they've done or are doing.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to wait too long. I thought the initial rumor said that there was supposed to be one like this fall, but now it's saying 2021. There should be a slew of products, but we will
Yeah.
see. Anything
Well,
launching in
yeah.
the fall at this point is kind of up in the air. So,
Right. I mean, no one it really. And there were no rumors about Apple coming out with trackpad support, right? So
hmm
this was kind of a surprise, a little wrench in the plan. So, in my mind, it makes me rethink all of the logic behind going to ARM on the Mac. But Apple, I guess the central logic of it still applies. I mean, Apple likes to control the entire, A to Z, and that this is a major component of them making that leap. So.
yeah, it'll be. I'm sure Intel is watching closely, or actually, Intel might be one of the first people to know because they're going to be like, okay, we're sending 7,000 chips to Apple this month, 7,000 next month, 2,000 chips. Like all of a sudden, like they've got to see
Yeah.
the orders. I mean,
Yep.
yeah. The other things making the headlines because there are things that Google. This is a little odd. Google is resuming Chrome OS development. They paused it for what, 3 days, something like that.
Yeah, but it also impacted the schedule going out
Mm,
because these things are on like basically a 6 week schedule. So they had to rejigger the whole thing, and they skipped a version. I think what they're going to do, and I don't know that this is a first, but because they've skipped, they're going to release an update for the current stable channel, whatever that. I think it's version 80, and then I could be wrong off the top of my head, but I think they're skipping 80 and 80. I'm sorry, 81 and 82, and then
hmm
going right to 83. And of course, 83 will include the stuff they intended for 82, and they get it's if you thought the Insider program was convoluted, try to figure out what version is what on the Chromium thing. But yeah, anyway, they had to rejigger it all. So basically, I think the way it works out is the next version of Chrome OS, etc., will come out in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see how that will impact, obviously, the Edge updates because it's built on the back of these rollouts that are coming out from the El Campo Googles. So,
Yeah, yeah, and there's some question there, and I don't know the answer to it about how Microsoft does this, right? Because it seems like every Edge version is tied to the version of Chromium on which it is based. Like so, and in other words, they follow the version numbers.
hmm
You don't see like an Edge 81 that's based on Chromium 80 or something. Like they're clearly following that schedule. So I assume they'll do something to match.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that rolls out. Obviously, Safari's doing their own little thingy as well, and so then that covers the major browsers minus Firefox, which I don't think they've announced any sort of deviation from their standard rollout, at least not yet.
Right.
So we shall see on that one. The other thing too, this is just kind of an interesting, and it vaguely ties in. So Peloton is a company that makes obviously really expensive bikes, and then they put them in your living room or your kitchen or wherever, and then shoot videos of people sweating their heads off trying to ride on a bike. But they also have a fitness, like you can basically do the Peloton stuff, but on your own bike or whatever.
Hmm.
Curious if you've been tempted by that because my wife goes to what's called Orange Theory or did, right, where you kind of go
Yeah.
to a gym and then you do a workout or whatever. It's basically trained classes, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, you can't do that in this Peloton. I suspect is probably like just gathering up dollars from people subscribing to this stuff because nobody can go to the gym really. I mean, you were at Walmart trying to buy weights.
Yeah, and you think the toilet paper section is cleared out, the weight section was cleared out just like that.
Hmm.
A lot of people, I guess, adjusting for this stuff. Um, no, my wife and I personally know we have an elliptical machine in the cellar. I was
Hmm.
just joking with my wife. We had a geez, what do you call it? Forgot the name of it. The exercise machine that has those kind of bendable bars, a
Oh,
Bowflex,
Bowflex, yep.
and we sold it, and I was years ago, and I said, man, that Bowflex would have come in handy now, huh? But no, I at our gym, I had my wife actually bought me not classes, sessions with a trainer,
Yeah.
which I hadn't taken advantage of yet, and hopefully someday. My, but I do a little bit of I do like 15 or 20 minutes on the elliptical just to kind of warm up, and then I do like 30 to 40 minutes of weight
Hmm.
stuff on machine. So I don't really like a Peloton thing isn't personally interesting, but my wife did more. She did something. I joke. This is not the name of it. I called it Body Blast
Oh
because it
God.
has a name that's like that. So she'd always come home and I'd be like, "Did you get your body blasted?" But it's a really aggressive and I've seen these classes like the people in there are really sweating and it's serious.
Mhm.
And then she does yoga and stuff like that. So I mean, we've certainly we've both looked for things online. I've tried a few things. I've been using like a New York Times 7 minute workout thing.
Yeah.
That's it's pretty good, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean something like that. If this keeps going, I mean I can't look. I can't drink a bottle of wine and a bag of Cheetos and eat a bag of Cheetos every night and like let 2 months go by. Like you're gonna have to do something.
I mean, you could, but then you're gonna
I
die of
could.
one thing really, really quick.
Yeah, it's ironic. He lived through the coronavirus, but then he had like a massive heart attack. Um, you know, I got to do something. Like I went for a walk today. It's not, it's
You know what we need to bring back?
something. What's that?
Jazzercise.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's.
Jane Fonda needs to come back with those leggings and do stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still hoping that I can find some weights somewhere. Something.
Yeah.
We have these lame little weights, and I don't know the exact weights. I mean, it's probably like half a pound, 1 pound, 2 pound, 4 pound, maybe 8 pound is that
Hmm.
heaviest. And my wife was like, if you do enough of them, it's probably pretty good. And it's like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's enough. It's just you can sit there and just like curl a little. You might as well just move your arm. You're not
Yeah.
even. I guess you're pumping blood. I
But real quick here, as a friendly reminder, today's show was brought to you by, or still is, because we're not done yet, by Microsoft 365, the best-in-class productivity apps that are going to help streamline your business process, transform your work collaboration, and help you protect your business. That is Microsoft 365 in the modern workplace. You can find a link down below. Or you could just go to I wonder if they have modernworkplace.com, but they definitely have Microsoft.com/Microsoft 365.
Yeah, if you go to the Microsoft 365 blog has become an incredible resource
Hmm.
during this pandemic thing for people who are trying to work from home and everything. Not just people on Microsoft 365, but just general kind of work from home stuff.
Hmm.
But the funny thing about it is you can't really say go to like some simple URL because if you Google or Bing or whatever Microsoft 365 blog, you'll find it. But the URLs of the actual articles are like WP Engine,
Hmm.
like they're weird
I can
URLs.
confirm, though, that they do have the domains modernworkplace.com.
Okay.
They do not, they do not have moderndesktop.com, though.
Well, I think they moved past modern desktop.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because they didn't have the domain, but they definitely have modernworkplace.com. So you can do that and it'll get you to where you need to be.
Okay. So, interesting side note.
Hmm.
If you're watching this later, you may not have seen that we had some horrific connectivity problems.
Yeah.
One thing I've been talking about doing, of course, is getting Ethernet into my office.
Hmm.
And what I decided to do was test that by running an Ethernet cable from just to see what that would be like.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't really have,
yeah.
I don't have one that's long enough. I have one is long enough, but it has one of the clips is broken, like where it connects. So I was like, well, it's okay. I'll just order like a 20-foot cable from Amazon or whatever. And of course, you may have seen that Amazon is not shipping anything non-essential for like a month or whatever. So when I did this, they said, yeah, your thing will arrive by the end of April. And I was like, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then I saw a little tip. They said, if you're looking for a non-essential item from Amazon and Amazon makes a version of it, order that because you'll get it right away. And sure enough, I looked up Amazon basic Ethernet cables and those are available immediately, assuming they're in stock.
Right.
So the version I wanted to get was actually out of stock, but I could have gotten like a 3-foot version, or like if I wanted a 2 or 5-pack or whatever, I could have gotten that. I mean, that's a little scummy,
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah. I was going to say, because we've ordered some stuff, non essentials. Like I quite literally ordered lawn fertilizer, which
Right.
I can't imagine anyone needs crabgrass control other than me during this pandemic, but I needed crabgrass control. And I ordered on Amazon. It came in the standard 2 days. But then you're right. Certain items, if they're not either stocked in an Amazon warehouse, because Amazon does allow like Prime services for people who ship their own stuff according to their policies. But that kind of stuff they're not doing. So to what you just experienced is that, oh, they're screwing over all those other retailers who don't want to pay the Amazon stocking fee effectively.
That's tough. I mean,
This is tough.
that's like war crime tough.
War crime.
No, I mean that's
Yeah, no, that's you're talking about hurting small businesses. That's
yep.
huge because now their only way of selling stuff on Amazon is to put it into an Amazon warehouse, which I would imagine Amazon's probably not taking new clients or whatever on at this time for.
Yeah. It's just probably a tough time to start a new career as a Amazon reseller or whatever.
Mhm. So there you go. What do you got going on this weekend, Paul? Not that it's really going to do any. I imagine you're not traveling anywhere, but
I should literally be in Paris right now, Brad.
yeah, I know.
This was our trip. So nothing. We're not doing anything. I don't know. What should we do? I do have some friends. We saw them at the farmers market last weekend, and they were saying that they every couple of days they'll drive somewhere, like they go to state park or something, or you could go to like a site. And obviously, you can't go inside like a museum or a store or anything like that, but you could still go to a place, I guess.
Mhm.
Although actually, technically, that's probably not true anymore now because we're under lockdown now.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you're not actually supposed to do that now. We're not doing anything. I think the short version is.
Yeah, there's some
See
parks.
the Bummerman?
Parks nearby
this
us,
is
but
the-
it's the same thing. And they're not even, like, I don't think they're state parks, but they're just parks and like they're not even manned. Like you can just go, but they're packed because everyone's in the same position. It's like, where are you going to go? Let's go to the park.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah, now you're not socially distancing, and
you could probably socially distance yourself in an airport pretty easy.
yeah. So we're only 2 weeks in. I mean, if this thing, have you seen some of the pictures from that? I almost wish I could take a flight just to enjoy that.
Yeah.
If you want to get away from people, go to the airport. That'd be a good thing to do. If you need to walk, go walk around the airport.
Yep. So, well, I think that about wraps it up for today with our high connectivity podcast here. So to everybody else, today's podcast was brought to you by Microsoft 365 and the modern workplace. You can find those links down below, and you will find us all back here on Monday as long as the bandwidth is bandwidthing. That was a stretch.